My perfectly planned life, a once pristine map aligned with step-by-step instructions, was now a crumbled mess. I tried to find out my ways. I tried to find out ways to figure out things all by myself, even if that meant failures. Failures of my life, for rock bottom to become my new home. The glass would always appear half empty, and some days it would feel like the glass would wobble and crash on the floor. But then I turned. I turned my sorrows into motivation. I kept trying to make something out of whatever I was given. I was lost, but that's okay. I kept walking on different paths until I found the right one. Until then, my failures had made me stronger. I was now ready to welcome all challenges with open arms. It was okay at times to see, to feel that it was not all together. Everybody feels the same way, and that's perfectly okay. Hello, and welcome you all to another brand new episode of our very own talk show, PhD The Philosophical Drama, Season 2. And yes, you are right. Today, we are going to talk about something that we very commonly face in our life's journeys. Yes, a bump in the road. Rarely do we have the motivation and the strength to drive past these speed breakers and take the right turn at the crossroads of life. Today, we have with us Akanksha. Her story of PhD, her journey of PhD has not been a very easy one. It was one that was filled with bumps and speed breakers. But she is a very confident woman, and she was confident enough to actually sit behind the wheels and steer her PhD in the right direction. So she currently is almost at the fag end of her PhD in IISER Pune, and she is working right now in type 2 diabetes, focusing mainly on experimental and mathematical modeling. And keeping all this aside, she is a very talented person and a brilliant actor, and apart from that, she also has very interesting philosophies and ideologies. So to know more about these, let's have Akanksha in our life. So Akanksha, can you, okay, there is some lag. So Akanksha, if you could just request to be in the live. Is the lag really bad? Is it still there?
Hi.
Hello, Akanksha. I hope everything is audible and clear. I heard from one of our audience that there's a bit of a lag. Are you also facing the same thing, or is it
Not
fine?
right now. When you were speaking, there was a lag, but right now, when I'm live, it's I think okay.
Great. Yeah, I hope it might be some problem with the internet. So, thank you so much, Akanksha, for taking out time for this conversation. And like, I know you have a very busy schedule. So, and amidst all the pandemic and everything, you have found out time to do this. So, thank you very much for doing that.
No, it was my pleasure talking to you. It is a wonderful talk show, so it was not a problem. Thank you so much for giving time again. So,
Yeah, so we are all very interested to know like your story. So firstly, I would like to ask you, so how did you explore your interest towards science, and how did you actually decide that you wanted to do a PhD?
Yeah. So the journey is not that interesting, I think, because so I always wanted to be a doctor, a medical doctor, and because growing up, I didn't know any other profession as such, only engineering, doctors, and lawyers. That's what I think typical North Indian middle family knowledge that is given around career choices to people. And if you're a girl, you're a doctor. If you're a boy, you get to be engineer mostly. So that was the mindset that I grew up in. And around I think when I was in my 12th standard, that is the time that I came to know, while talking to my biology teacher, because biology I found biology very interesting, and I think it was only in class 8th that I actually developed an interest for biology. Before that I used to fail in that subject. So only after that I actually had the interest. So in 12th I got to know that to be a teacher you could do a PhD and then join into teaching. And I really liked my biology teacher. So that was the first time I came to know that okay, even she was a doctor. So she had the title of
Okay.
the. So
Right,
that
right.
is the first time. Okay, even if you don't get into medical, you are still a doctor. You know. So after that, I think when I didn't get through, so I gave the examination at that time, the entrances, and I was in the waiting list, but it never got cleared. So I was not in the mindset to wait and repeat as many times the entrances exam as it might take. So I joined BSc Life Sciences in Hansraj, and thankfully I had very good teachers there. So while asking them questions, so mostly the interest arose when I was they used to try to teach the syllabus which was there, but I was more interested into what they were not answering. So that is the
Right.
time I think the interest developed into asking questions. Yeah, and that is how my teachers there encouraged me to go ahead and pursue masters. And after that masters, I think it was something like if you do masters, then you're supposed to do PhD. Like that is what we were told by our professors.
Yeah.
So that is how I landed up in I think research.
And the lab that you had landed up initially, so how did that happen? Like, was it because of your interests in like specific fields, or how did you land up where you were initially?
So the funny thing is, this is all in retrospection. So when I joined PhD program, I had also tried for integrated PhD program here in ISER, and so the funny thing is that when I didn't know anything, but since I was a very good student as such, so I was given the impression that I was very intelligent, and I didn't need to work very hard. So for the integrated PhD interview that was here, so I cleared all the rounds, not the interview rounds, but all the written exams and everything, scoring, वगैरह, everything was good. But when I had to land in the interview,
Hmm.
I had no clue how to think science. So I had very basic tendency of curiosity. That is the question. But only when you are starting to answer those questions on your own, are you actually doing science? And when I went
Right.
into the interview round, I was very confident, that I know everything because I knew everything that was there in the syllabus. But they started and asking questions that how would you figure this out? And I'm like, I have never thought about that. That how would I actually answer that question? Okay, so I asked questions
Right.
about how I would do something to answer that question. And that was the first time I understood what it took actually to be in an institute like this. And later, when I joined my MSc, which is MSc Genetics in Delhi University, so I think I was so lucky to be part of that department. I can't express my gratitude enough for that department on how they inculcated the habit or the attitude of questioning. So, just to give you an example, we had a professor of evolution who said that if you could prove me wrong after distributing a certain answer sheets, he would say, if you can convince me right now that you deserve more marks, giving me logical answers, I will change your marks. Okay, so we were given that option that okay, if I
Right.
wrote something, okay, and I think it is correct, but I was not able to express it here, he would give us time in our class to express it logically, convince the whole class that I am right, and then we could get full marks on it. So that was the way of thinking that I understood how evidence based science can be done. And
Right.
yeah, but still, now the point was that I knew what, how interesting it can be, but the vigor it took was something I was very oblivious of. So when I joined here, I mostly kind of took to how I felt about the teachers, because teachers were the main source of inspiration for me. So
Right.
when I made the choices, my major choices were based on how the teaching was in the class regarding the topic.
Right.
So the topic as such might not be that interesting to me. I wouldn't think about it. So I think that is where I lagged, because I didn't have any experience on how much vigor it takes in research to answer a question. So that is where I was lacking, and that kind of, I think, matters when you are choosing something, when you are going to put life 5 years or 6 years or 10 years kind
Right.
of commitment. So I think that kind of knowledge is necessary for you, which I didn't have that time. So yeah, I think that is how I chose my choice of field. That okay, this.
Right. Right.
So yeah, because it is very
I
different from having
think
a favorite subject and then
yes.
actually having an interesting question. Okay, so these are two
Right.
different.
Right.
That you can favorite subject be biochemistry, but a question that you're interested is from immunology or molecular biology or something else, completely different. Yeah. So please.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we all are kind of a little biased when we start off that this is what I like and this is what I would not be able to do, because most of us are very scared of learning something new, doing something new. We are always happy to be in our comfort zones. But I think, and also coupled with the fact that we are mostly oblivious of what it takes to do a PhD right when we are starting off it, the doctor, that initial sounds very tempting, but
Yeah.
we are mostly oblivious. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think now, like, moving slightly ahead, so when you actually had to transition from like one field to the other,
Hmm.
how was it was it was definitely scary, but then, like, how did you kind of cope up with it, like changing, like doing something and then next day doing something completely different, making up your mind towards it. So how did you, like, prepare yourself, or like
Hmm.
train yourself into doing something this difficult?
So when I was transitioning, I think it was one of the most difficult phase that I had to go through. And I think it will be because it changed me quite a bit. And
Right.
so, yeah, so I think it will be the most difficult, one of the most difficult in whatever comes next. So, um the thing that really helped me in that time was that I actually faced a lot of my fears, a lot of my insecurities, because of which so what happens is when we make choices, as you said, we kind of try to stay in the comfort zone, and which is not really facing your actual fears, facing what you really lack, and then growing from there. We don't do that when
Right.
comfort zone. So while I had to transition, that phase itself was very scary. And what really got me through was that I had support systems to uh, tell me, that okay, fine, you made a mistake, but that's okay, that's fine. That's it's normal part of life. But as a PhD student, we don't understand that, for because we are
Right.
very isolated in our place. We are alone doing that one single project, which we think is our life and blood. So at that time, when you fail something, fail at that project, it feels like it is the end of your life. You feel like you have
Yeah.
failed in life forever. Like nothing can actually redeem you from here. So that was actually the emotion that I had at that time, and it took me time to get over it. It was really hard, but having that support system around, I had friends who were really good to me. And there were seniors who I can now call friends, who who out of genuine empathy actually told me that this is a journey. And they really supported
Right.
me. I had the professor I transitioned under, he was also very understanding, very very understanding. Like I was blown away by the kind of empathy that he showed. And he told me few things about me as well, that it's okay, that you under pressure you react like that, and that's fine. Now you know that is how you do work, so it is a good thing that you are understanding yourself more. So yeah, that is how I think I kind of transitioned. That is the short version of how I transitioned. Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely there were bad days, right? There will be bad days, very difficult days when you would like really struggle to keep it together, like as you said. So what were the things like if you would tell us in a little bit more of detail that what are the things that you practiced as a person? Like we all have support systems, but at the end of the day we have to go to bed alone and then push ourselves to wake up the next day and go back to what we are doing. So on a very personal level, what are the things that you did that actually like help you like go back and be at it the next day?
So one of the things that really helped me was, I think the first step was being honest to myself, not to others, to myself, about how much I was doing, how much was too much for me, and more than that, that it's okay if you're not able to do this right now. It's completely
Right.
fine that you're not able to do this, and accepting that it's okay that you feel like this. It's completely fine as long as you are with yourself, as long as you understand, you respect yourself. It should be completely fine. It's just a career. It is just a PhD. It is not your whole life. It is a very, very
Right.
minute part of your life. So there were difficult days. There were days when it was difficult to come out of my bed, come out of my room, face people. That was the biggest fear, I think, for whole of my life. I think I till that time point I had lived actually to shape myself on how people perceive. But I think after that, it made it really easy for me to shape myself, shape my life as I would want. So I think at that time, when I started really questioning things, very fundamental question, that why do I still want to continue? Why do I still want to? Why am I suffering right now? What was the reason for so much of suffering? And what can I do to really change these sufferings? And during the same time, I think I was introduced to a certain philosophy, practicing. So it is a Buddhist philosophy, uh, but it really changed my life. And some of my friends here, or my seniors, I would say, told me about this philosophy, where they saw where the philosophy says that you know basically every problem is an opportunity. Okay. So yes, obviously it is difficult. That is, nobody is questioning that. But every problem within itself brings an opportunity for you alone. Okay. So the moment you start looking for answers inside you, things outside will change. Okay. So it is a very deep philosophy. I know it might seem jargon right now, but basing myself on that, when I really started, so the question arose from that, understanding that if I know the answers, then I need to understand why, I'm going through this, and what can I change to not go again through any of this again. So then I started building my life as I wanted to be. So I didn't want to be a dishonest person. I wanted to be a brave person. I wanted to be a person who can. So it was not just about career. It was about now building a character. Okay.
Right.
So when I realized that a better character will obviously give you a better career, there is no question about that. But if I don't have a better
Right.
character, which can go through all of this, then how will I ever make a career? Because you can make a career and it will be destroyed. You can join something, some institute, some lab, and it will be shut down. The professor moves out. I've seen this. That some of my friends joined a lab and the professor shifted to another university and they were left here without any notice. So they had to change lab again. And it is true for anything. So then I think on the personal level, it really changed how I saw myself in the next 5 years. So it was like building brick by brick of a person I wanted to be. So yeah, I think that is what really helped me, like on a personal level, to travel through that transition, because it was not a hopeless situation anymore. It was an
Right.
opportunity. I was given a chance to transition. I was being given the opportunity to try again, even if I fail.
Right.
So yeah, I think on personal note, very long answer. I'm so sorry, but
No,
yeah,
but this is very interesting, like this entire concept of looking at problems as opportunities to better yourself or better the situation. It's, I think, something that's very interesting, a thought that we should all ponder upon. I think it's a very informative thought. And apart from, I know that, like, apart from this huge mental struggle and this entire process of like working on yourself personally, there was this huge task. I know that you make it sound like the career is a part, but when you're actually going through it, that is the main thing that kind of drives all your thoughts. So when you are starting out into a new lab, which is a different field, it comes with its own challenges, like
yeah.
learning something completely new, and you were already like quite a while into your PhD tenure per se. So were there difficulties, and like how did you, like, what were the things that helped you actually like acclimatize to the new field and the new subject that you had actually started working on?
Yeah. So the thing was that obviously the field was very new, but I was
Yeah.
one of the things that I was really encouraged about, even in by my lab members, by my professor, was that you have a skill set which this lab doesn't have. So always remember that. So even if you're doing something which is new for you, remember that you can integrate the skill set that you have. Okay. So I was made to feel that it is not, you're not useless here, even if this field is new. So that was, I think, from external environment, external perspective, that was something that was supporting my transition. The other fact was while transitioning, my seniors themselves were very supportive. They gave me time to understand. They really, and the perspective that, I can do this. So when you're trying to build yourself, the funny thing is that when you're not trying to understand yourself, then everything seems hopeless. Things like it is kind of victimization of yourself, that everything keeps happening to me, that every problem
Yeah.
comes to my door. Okay, but the moment you think that, okay, fine, this is a problem, I'll try to see what I can change, what I can do about it. I'll find a solution. So if you believe that you can change the solution, so you are able, not you're able to, but you're more creative about it. So on the personal front, when I really I was very determined that it's okay even if I don't know this, but I won't give up. The only thing that I have right now in my hand is to persevere. There is nothing else that I can do. And the other, also the fact was that the questions were interesting. Okay,
Right.
my project that was going, I found the questions interesting, even though I didn't know any of the literature. So that way, when I really took that opportunity of making myself better, so every problem came with its solution together. So the moment I started
Right.
putting the creative side, I thought people around me were able to really help me in that manner. So it was like a two-way process, that if I showed interest, would the person in front of me help me? If I was like, "Yare, mujhse nahi hoga, I can't do this anymore. This is too much." So if I go on with that mindset, so a person outside cannot help me for long. Like initially, you will sympathize with that person, because help kar dete hain. But apart from that, I don't think anybody can walk your walk, right? So
Right.
it mostly focused on that, on how to, and I really became very open. The thing was that if I'm on the path to build myself, I cannot be shy. I cannot be like, "Ki, I'll wait for somebody to come and help me." So if I needed help, I didn't care if I looked stupid. Because I was like, I'm already transitioning in very late phase of my life, so I have to let go of my क्या बोलते हैं उसको I, I can't remember the English word. तो शर्म जाने दिया मैंने कि शर्म छोड़ो. ठीक है, I don't care how stupid I look. If this is a stupid question, it's fine. At least I'll get my answer. So
Right.
I don't believe anymore in that kind of thing. If I need help, I'll ask it. So my professor, I know my professor was sometimes कि खुद से कर लिया करो कुछ, but I was like sir आप हो तो मुझे बता दो. Supported that kind of attitude because they were like, "Okay, fine." So it was not like I was not trying. It was more like I would better learn it from you than try it on my own, fail, waste more time, and then come back PSR. So there's no ego in this now anymore. No ego attached to my project. No ego attached to my PhD. Yeah. So I think that's
I think
what
that's
made
that's
transition
yeah,
enjoyable.
that's very very good. Like we always have this inhibition, basically,
Yeah.
like this thing ki we will, and also like the fact that you understood that this is the time that you need to really like drive it fast now, like hit the accelerator. So I think it's very important that you had that self-realization and you accepted that firstly
Yeah.
yourself, and then only comes the next step. So as a junior, I have always been intrigued about this thing that despite all these bumps and all these problems, and first of all, you have always had a smiling face and you've been positive. Like to me, at least, whenever I have seen, I've been very intrigued. And the other important thing is you've been very active, involved in. A lot of productions in ICER, in theater.
Yeah.
Even you've gone out of ICER and performed so many times. So like I know that managing all these things together, like going through this phase in terms of in terms of your career, and also like pursuing all these things side by side, was it difficult, or like was it something that actually pushed you? Like what drove you to like do something, because it becomes a lot on your plate at one point. So how did you manage it, and what made you take all these things up together?
Yeah, so I think Sukanya, I can say that you experienced the same thing. Okay, that even you are with me in all these productions. So yeah, what I can say is initially when I joined the first production, it was before transition, mostly very
Yeah.
near the transition phase, and that was the first time I actually was part of any production, and I really enjoyed that process, and it gave me a medium to actually. So I think somewhere being a part of something other than my research helped me understand myself, that I had some kind of capability that I hadn't explored. I had some kind of interest that I hadn't explored till now. So that kind of actually opened me to the phase of transition and opened towards the experiences that I was going to have. And it was all those productions, despite from the first one to the last one, I think I can say that all of them were very difficult. Extremely, I cannot take out the part which was difficult. The experience was difficult, but the experience was rewarding as well. So I think I've told this to you earlier also, that we are told about choosing things or choosing to do work that you really love. You know, so I did love my research, but I also loved being part of the drama, of being part of the dance that took place in the theater. So I loved that part, but the thing was that it doesn't mean it's not going to be difficult. Okay, it is going to be difficult journey. It is, but it's just that you know that it is worth it.
Yeah.
So the thing that you love, the difficulty is worth that thing. So mostly it was again, I would say that I was inspired by other people who were doing. First time I was part of the production, I was inspired how other people were juggling same as much as I was, but they were still part of something that they really like to do apart from research. And that is also one of the places where I first got the perspective that PhD is just one of the things in your life. It is not everything in your life. So I think theater gave me that outlook as such. The first
Right.
perspective that you can do multiple things, you can love multiple things, and your life can be a combination of all of those. So yeah,
Right.
it doesn't matter if it's hard. It doesn't matter if it takes too much time. It doesn't matter if you spend sleepless night as we have. Okay, but I
Yes.
think we can both say that once you see what came out of that, of all those efforts, you really love being part of it, or you love having given your sweat and blood to it.
Right, right. I think that is something very important that we all need to have. Firstly, consider PhD as a part of your life and not your
Yeah,
entire life. There is a
yeah.
lot more that goes after you come back from the lab, and that is actually what we are trying to like achieve through our show. Like talk about things outside the lab also, the like personal struggles, because we are not aware of these things. Like when we start off, we are just not aware of all these things. So
Hmm.
I would like to ask you one, like it might be a difficult question, but like, what is that one thing that made you not quit a PhD? Like, I know that whenever you go through something very hard, or like, you always have this option of like
Hmm.
leaving. So what is that one thing that made you stay on, like uh, stay on and like persevere?
I so I would just want to make a statement before I answer that the answer that I'm going to give might change with time because I'm still
Yeah,
processing the whole process that I've gone through.
right,
So for now, what I can remember even at those time was so initially it was the fear that I didn't want to be called a quitter. Okay, so it was initially just the fear of failure was why I didn't want to quit. Okay, uh, even while it was very difficult, even while it was taking a toll on my mental health, even while it made it difficult to actually get out of bed or even eat. So even in amidst those difficulty, it was the fear of failure, being called a failure, not by anybody else, but by myself, that I am a failure.
right,
That was the first fear that actually hindered or stopped or क्या कहते हैं, prevented me from quitting. But later in the process, when I started questioning everything and being very honest and rebuilding my self as such from the bottom, you know, so in that time, I realized that I didn't really explore the true aspect of PhD. Okay. So till now, whatever I was doing was something that I wanted people to think about me. I was doing something because I wanted them to think that I was a very intelligent person. That I wanted them to think or know that I was working very hard. So that those were the reasons, that I wanted at that time to do PhD. But now when I was rebuilding myself, I understood I never understood what actually doing PhD was for yourself. So when I'm answering this question for my interest, what does it feel like? Is it this difficult? Is it something that I should give up if I'm like putting that out of equation? So in those times when I started answering this for myself, it just became about perseverance. So every time I failed after this, it was like, it's okay, fine. I failed at this experiment. Let me just get to the next one. Let me just change something about it and try. So it was simply after a time point, it was just simply perseverance that I can't, I don't want to quit because I haven't explored it fully. I'm still not ready to
right.
give up without knowing if I can make it through. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think this is my answer that over time it just, and when it was very difficult, I was like, at least I'm learning to not quit. So in the
Yeah,
in the most difficult times, I think I just told myself, at least you're not quitting. That's good enough. It's good enough that you
yeah.
still want to continue. You still want to face this difficult problem in your life. So yeah, I think that is the simplest of answers that I can give right now. I'm very sure 10 years later it would be something else. So
Else. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, like, if you know, right, there are, like, you're not the only one, and there are a lot of people who face such similar problems,
Hmm.
like at different stages of their PhD, sometimes even at a very later stage, and even when they're starting off. So, a lot of people lose motivation and hope. So if there's somebody who has come to you asking for an advice, like what do you usually tell them? Like if somebody comes to you, suppose, and tells them that this is what I'm facing, something very similar to what you can identify with yourself, what is that one advice that you would give them? I mean, what will be your definition of a PhD to a person who's actually trying to struggle through it?
So I think firstly, one thing that I would really like all PhD students or anybody wanting to do PhD, I would really like them to know that it is not a reflection on you. It is not a reflection on your character. It is not a reflection on your intelligence, on your hard work, or anything. Okay. It is a very isolating field. So whatever you are able to do is good. Okay. It is more than enough. What you're doing right now is amazing because you're trying to add knowledge to a field which may not exist right now. Okay. Anything that you're doing right now is basically adding to those dots. It's one by one. So you are doing
Yeah.
that. One of the very few people who are doing it. And motivation may I can only say this that you know if you really want to quit, you know that you don't want to do this, fine. But if you're quitting it out of fear, then that fear won't leave you even if you leave PhD. It doesn't matter. The fear itself is inside you. It doesn't have to do anything with PhD. It will follow you. Those are your emotions. So I
Right.
would really like them to, really believe in themselves, have the conviction that it is not that difficult. People before you have done it. So trust in yourself. Really, really trust in yourself. The moment you decide is the very crucial moment. And I can't emphasize enough that one single moment when you decide that you're not going to give up. Okay. That one single moment makes a whole lot of difference. So it's just that your belief matters, nobody else's. Doesn't matter what your PI is saying, doesn't matter what your friends are saying. It doesn't, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is what are you telling yourself? The moment you start telling yourself that you can make it happen, okay, you can do the PhD. PhD is simply a science project. It's simply a question that you're trying to answer, nothing else. Okay. So the moment you believe that you can do it, the
Yeah.
moment you are ready to answer that question, everything will fall in place. It will take time, but it will fall in place. Okay. So really give yourself time, have patience with yourself, love yourself, be grateful for whatever you're doing. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Akanksha. It was like it was a very, very insightful and informative conversation. Not the academic sort of way, but like I think we have got to hear very interesting philosophies and ideologies that you had, and like it's like I would really like to congratulate you for how far you have come, and also to be so brave enough to talk about this and because like I think there's a big hurdle that we all face, that we might go through these struggles ourselves, but there's a very big hurdle to talk about it. I think that's what we need more. We need more people to talk about it and let us know that this is perfectly normal. Struggle is normal, and I think that's the more common part of a PhD than the success and the rewards you get. So I think thank you so much for actually bringing out the mirror and showing it to all of us that this is how it is. And yeah, it was really wonderful of you to actually come to our platform and talk about this thing. So thank you very much for doing this. And I would like to also wish you all the best for your upcoming journey. I am pretty sure that the new transformed person that you have become after all these things will actually be graced with great success in the future. So all the best for that. And thank you again for coming to our show and talking, having this wonderful conversation with me. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I don't know if I should the amount of thanks that you have given me. But yeah,
No, you
it
you
was
absolutely deserve it. It's absolutely like well deserved.
thank you. Thank you so much for giving me the chance or opportunity to actually talk here. And it's wonderful what you guys are doing. I really love the fact that you guys are actually bringing out so many stories. I am so inspired by a lot of stories that I hear, and it is absolutely and essentially required right now. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on this note, I think
Yeah.
I'll take your leave. Uh, just a
Sure.
moment.
Yeah.
So thank you again.
Yeah, yes, thank you so much as well. So that was Akanksha's story for you all. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation we had. Uh, Thank you for being there today, and like you always have, and keep sharing love to our show, and keep sending us your feedback, and let us know how you feel we could improve the talk show that we are having. And we would really like your help and your assistance to reach out to more people. So please share our page, ask your friends and family to follow, and also do subscribe to our YouTube channel, and to know more about the other wonderful stories that we have already explored in this season. And further, we are going to bring out new themes and new stories in the further episodes. So stay with us. Given the situation, please stay safe, and bye.